Why is it so hard to fire bad police officers? Welcome to Dad Describes, where we take on current issues, news, politics, and entertainment and try to apply down-to-earth common sense from a perspective of a dad. Why do we have a policing problem in the United States? Can't we just fire the bad police? My experience with this is limited to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, where for a number of years I was involved in municipal government and did oversee a police department. Most people I have worked with that are in law enforcement are great people. I respect the difficult job they do, and quite often they perform at a high degree of professionalism. These are great Americans, but just like everyone else, they are complex people in a broken world. Some of you might not like to hear it, but there are people wearing a badge that are either in over their heads or they bluntly are not people that should probably be in law enforcement. When a municipality realizes they have a problematic police officer, they just can't fire them. In Pennsylvania, during my time in government, police were unionized. A full-time police officer is a member of a police union. They have a contract, and arbitration is built into it. That means that they can bring in a third party to hear their case and decide if the officer should get let go or not. That is an oversimplification of an explanation, but it does cover the gist of it. Each state has arbitration records that are volumes thick. I'm talking big, thick, heavy books that you wouldn't want to get hit with. Inside these volumes are previous arbitration records, and there are in these horror stories about accused officers of pretty bad conduct while on the job, and about how many of them, in some cases, retain their jobs. So if a municipality wants to build a case against a bad officer, they need a very tight case history. They need public complaints, usually a stack of them, HR warnings, and reviews, bad reviews that document their bad behavior and the whole 9 yards. Even then, arbitration can often side with the police officers. There are cases of gross bad behavior by an officer. The officer gets fired. Several months pass as they work through the arbitration process, and then arbitration decides in the officer's favor, and then the municipality is then forced to pay back the officer in some cases for all of the shifts that they could have worked. So it ends up being a pretty big liability and risk for a municipality to cut a bad officer sometimes. It happens. Municipalities deal with this by doing one of two things. They either only hire part-time police officers, which at part-time they're often not unionized. Therefore, if they get somebody that they're edgy on, they don't have to fire them. They just don't offer them any available shifts, and eventually they go away. For a full-time officer, what they might do is give them a glowing recommendation to another municipality, police department, state police to basically get them out of their current job and make them somebody else's problem. So with it being 2020 and everything being crazy with defund the police and everything else and murder hornets, do I support defunding the police knowing all of this? You know, honestly, if you're in some Pokey Oaks municipality with 1,500 people in the middle of nowhere and there's really not a lot of crime rate, honestly, having a police department's probably a big luxury on your municipal budget. But if you're in a large city and you're talking about defunding your police department, you know, again, this is a part where I'm going to be respectful, but I just don't think it's reasonable. You have to have law and order. You know, if you want businesses to locate in your city, if you want, you know, people to move there and live there, you need law enforcement. The people that you would term the bad police officers, the monsters with a badge, whatever you want to call it, we're talking about statistically a very small subset, very small. By and large, every experience I've had with law enforcement, these people they're professionals. Have I ever seen bad policing or you know, excessive force? Yes, I have. But it has been the rare exception and not the rule. This is not legal advice, but typically police officers will treat you with as much respect as you treat them. Thank you for watching Dad Describes. If you like this content and your local police department, feel free to smash that like button and consider subscribing. And remember, nobody wants to take Dad's advice until they get pulled over and have a ticket and need Dad to help them out.